Welcome to Senior PrimeTime, where real people and real conversations come together. Hi, I'm Bonnie Keith, creative visual director, industry veteran, and your host of Senior PrimeTime. This podcast is brought to you by the Foundation for Senior Services, and I'm joined today by its co-founder and CEO, Joyce Robertson. Senior PrimeTime brings you certified specialists and trusted partners of the Foundation, focused on topics that matter, and on living your best life at every age, especially in what we lovingly call Act 3. Today, we're talking about something that impacts so many families, the exploding threat of scams and fraud targeting seniors. Joining us today are Lily Schweitzer, financial advisor, and Tanner Gish, an expert in senior care and fraud prevention. Together, they bring real-world insight and experience to help you better understand these threats, put safeguards in place, and make informed decisions to protect yourself or those you care about. And with that, let's get started. Welcome, Lily and Tanner. So, Lily, Tanner, quick introductions. Tell our listeners who you are and what drew you to serving the senior community.
Well, thank you for having us, Bonnie. So my name's Tanner Gish. I'm the owner of Loving Home Care, where we help seniors maintain memories within the same four walls of their home that they have for many years through the assistance of caregivers throughout Southern California. I'm also a certified dementia practitioner, which is very important for what we do. And as you mentioned, a certified specialist.
Thank you. Lily, take it away.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I am a financial advisor, wealth manager. I have a small boutique practice in helping people with their wealth, obtaining their wealth, growing their wealth, and protecting their wealth. In the senior community, I specialize in providing tax-efficient income for them or higher income to cover their needs as they age and help their families stay healthy as well.
What a gift to have both of you here today. And we're going to do our best today to enlighten our viewers, listeners, on a topic that honestly, it is enormous. It's huge. There's no way that we're going to cover every single scam or fraud out there. I'm just letting the listeners know that. There are just simply too many. It would take 10 episodes, maybe more than that. The scams and frauds evolve so quickly that what's true today, it's going to look different tomorrow, next week, and the following month. So we're not trying to cover everything. Just wanted to get that out there. But we are going to focus on what matters most, to shine a light on the scams that are hitting our senior community the hardest right now. How to recognize them, how to protect yourself, and how to avoid becoming the next victim. We want to leave you here today feeling empowered with tools in your scam and fraud toolbox. So, okay, with that, we are going to get started. And I also wanted to welcome Joyce Robertson, CEO of the Foundation for Senior Services, who just joined us. Welcome, Joyce.
Thank you, Bonnie and Lily and Tanner. I'm anxious to hear all the wonderful information you're going to let us know about these very serious scams and fraud that are affecting so many of our elders today.
Yes, so let's start to set the stage. Tanner, you've been teaching that scams are the same old tricks with better technology. Lily, on the financial side, are you seeing the same thing, kind of old scams in new disguises? Tanner, do you want to take that away?
Sure, absolutely. So there's so much in the news about how technology, specifically AI, significantly empowering fraudsters in significant ways. But fundamentally, the schemes or the strategies remain the same. Technology just allows it to be done at greater scale and with increased surgical precision. So like, for example, ultimately it's about trying to work around your general critical thinking by using fear and familiarity in terms of the information or how they're pitching themselves to you. And then what technology is doing is just allowing them to do that with much higher precision. I can go into some of the specifics now, but I think we might get to that a little bit later, Bonnie. But that's fundamentally what's it. Just like technology amplifies the good parts of our life and our work in better ways in terms of efficiency and scale, technology is doing the same thing. But ultimately, it boils down to them deceiving you, likely through impersonations of kind of three main categories. One is trying to impersonate family members, those that you love and trust. Second, trying to impersonate institutions that you might trust. Think of government agencies, agencies that you want to make sure your bills are paid for, like the IRS or other things of that nature, Social Security. And so there's a bit of that fear and that gulp that you get, like, oh, I got to take care of this because this is the federal government. And other things of that nature. So that's, I think, where the more people are aligned with understanding the strategies, no matter how much technology develops, you can add a few extra tools to your arsenal, but you're generally going to at least have the mindset to be prepared for what might not even come today, but even further down the road in the future.
Okay. Lily, anything to add to that in your financial world?
Yes. So with this thread and this new way of attacking people's wealth, you really need to kind of be prepared, or maybe even do a dry run and make sure that you understand what to do if you come across a situation like that. So the most important thing is have a conversation with your financial advisor or the trusted person that you have chosen to be there as a person that you can go to verify things with, to slow things down. So don't take any action on something that might push you to do something right away. Generally, we're speaking to seniors and hopefully retirees. So when you're building your wealth and you're working in your career, right, you needed to take action and you needed to do things. The benefit now is that you don't have to. You have all the time in the world. Paralysis by analysis. Analyze it before taking action.
So for general best practices, and you mentioned something about a contact, a trusted contact. What is the importance of that? Do you add a trusted contact to financial accounts?
That is correct. So for many of us, we may not live next door to our trusted contact, the person that you can go to and just bounce off ideas and double check to see, hey, can you please take a look at this email? Does this look legit to you? Does this text message look legit to you? That might be your neighbor. Now, adding a trusted contact to your financial accounts doesn't necessarily mean that you're giving that person access to your information. All it means is allowing your financial firm, your financial advisor, to call that person and say, hey, Mary, did you talk to Sue the other day? Are you okay with, do you know what's going on with her? That is the idea, is to have an extended community to make sure that we all take care of each other.
Why are seniors some of the most sought after people for fraudsters and scammers to want to fraud and scam? Tanner.
Those that are getting up into their fourth quarter of life, they have some cognitive impairment quite often. Even if it's not like a full-fledged form of Alzheimer's, their guard is a bit lower, so the opportunity to be deceived as our minds slow down, even if we're just talking the simple slowing down of aging, not even an official dementia diagnosis, is one main reason. Secondly, seniors tend to be more isolated. If you're looking at, say, widows or widowers or those who have children that have moved away, it doesn't mean there has to only be someone alone in the house, but often it is someone there alone. Or they've just become more accustomed to living a life that has more isolation and seclusion to it. And they're not going out very much, so that when that call hits, the thought of reaching out to someone to verify, to say, hey, does this sound funny, or to have someone even observe them going about the business of executing a fraudster's instructions to creatively send money through Western Union or wire transfers or whatever that is, there's just less eyes on the situation to be able to see what's going on and to talk to the person and try to hit the pause button.
Any thoughts on that, Lily?
Yes. So you mentioned earlier, right? This is a very rapidly changing environment. And that is the reason why the fosters are targeting the seniors. Generally, a senior has accumulated a large amount of wealth to sustain them throughout their lifetime. So that in combination with maybe loneliness, that in combination of maybe lack of knowledge of technology, or just simply maybe bad eyesight, maybe bad hearing, that all those can be a factor that you made a mistake. An email is very important. So one of the oldest scams with email, right? We've been lucky enough to be in this generation of technology. And I was young enough to remember when email started, and it was a learning curve. And now we know that if somebody hacks your email, they can easily review your email thread, get names of your family members, get names of your children, grandchildren, what's going on with your friends, and then turn around, use that when they need to. They manipulate the conversation, and they may send you an email and say, "Hey, Sue, I cannot buy an Amazon card for my friend, and she needs to, send her granddaughter a little onesie. Do you know how to use the purchase on Amazon? Can you do it for me and I'll pay you back?" That is a very real thing that happened to a very good friend of mine. Luckily, she reached out. Luckily, she called us, and my sister almost fell for it too because my sister wanted to help. Like, "Oh no, we can send her that card. That's fine. We'll help her." But then I was pulled in as well. And as soon as I saw it, I'm like, "Wait a minute, hold on. Let's take a look. This doesn't make any sense." We changed the password to her email immediately. We did find out about an hour later that a lot more people had gotten that email and that somebody had hacked her email account. So that is a real life event that happened, and just slowing down and reaching out to your trusted friends and family members or your financial advisor was able to avoid a lot of pain.
Thank you, Lily. Yes, email it's a big one, and we'll talk more about that. Tanner, you teach that scammers cannot be avoided. You cannot avoid being scammed. They're going to try. That's what I mean. They're going to try to scam you. You can't avoid them trying, but you can make yourself a harder target. So let's talk about some specifics now. And you mentioned something called the terrifying 3-second rule of voice cloning and how scammers are using deep fakes to bypass our internal alarm. So I want the two of you to discuss how that is used by the scammers and specifically what that means, and then how the person being scammed, in our case, the senior, can do something to stop that or not become a victim. We don't want to become the victim. Tanner, you want to start?
Sure, absolutely. So yeah, when you mentioned the 3-second rule, I guess kind of cute phrase has been coined to say that all it takes is 3 seconds of data, 3 seconds of audio, 3 seconds of video from, say, your grandson, performing the valedictorian speech, that's posted on Instagram or on Facebook that you took, or anyone that took, right? Because we're all getting filmed on all sorts of people's cameras. All it takes is 3 seconds of input for many of these artificial intelligence apps to scan, synthesize, and then to be able to create some kind of projection. Whether it's actually like now I think I don't hear of as many scams that are involving video as much as audio, but they can even create, if there's like some kind of Zoom call or something of that nature, like literally a picture that might look like someone's grandchild. And as the speaker, who might be over in somewhere in Africa or in Southeast Asia, is speaking, the camera is taking in the inflections of their eyebrows and their mouth, and it's moving this image of the grandchild to look in a similar way. Likewise, there are AI apps. I think 11 Labs is one of the most popular one. Often these things are used to, again, scale businesses. How do you have a professional sounding voiceover mask if you're going to make your own audiobook or you're creating content for social media? But these things can then be used where in live time someone's talking and there's no delay. The voice that comes will sound like a loved one, but they may be trying to impersonate to further create the buy-in and the credibility that this really is someone, often when it comes to family, someone who's in distress and needs your urgent help to bail them out of jail, to help them get across the border, release them from the hostage situation, or whatever that may be.
Okay, so Lily, they get this phone call. The grandfather, the grandmother, the mother, whatever, gets this phone call from someone that sounds just like their son or grandson. They're in distress. I would get all nervous. I would be reaching for my credit card or whatever. What do you tell them to do?
Yes. First, most important is take a deep breath, slow down. Try to reduce the stress that is being applied to you. Okay. Double check things. Don't offer information, but ask for information. Let's say that you receive a phone call and it sounds very much like your granddaughter or your grandson. Ask questions that only they would know. Not necessarily their birthday, not necessarily what city you live in, but more intimate questions that only you and he would know. For example, did you catch any fish last summer when you went to the fishing trip? Well, the trick is that your grandson hates fishing, right? You know for a fact that he never fished. So something that can not be so complicated, but
Great.
yet so simple to really verify who is that person. Now, technology may seem like it's attacking us and fighting against us, but we can use technology for our benefit as well. So every iPhone, and there are other applications that you can download in other phones where it tracks your location. So if you create a family connection to track each location, and you can open up your cell phone and you can see, oh, where's Johnny right now? Where is his physical location on his phone or in his vehicle? Something like that you can verify quickly without saying anything and say, oh, so you're in TJ and you got stuck on a tire, your tire broke or whatever, but yet you're in Fullerton College right now. So you have to stop and say, okay, let me call you right back, and call their parents.
And also, isn't it, you never respond to the phone number that the person's calling you from. You don't click on the link that they give you to verify anything, because then all you're doing is you're talking to them. That's how everything goes haywire. You need to verify by calling your grandson on his phone number. You need to go to your own Amazon account to see whether or not you purchased that $1,600 iPhone yesterday, because I almost got stuck on one of those a couple of years ago, and I'm pretty tech savvy. I think one of the things that they do also is they send you a message telling you that you've purchased something or you've done something, and say, if you haven't, call this number. And that's the worst thing that you can do. Never click on the links, never call back the number. So this kind of third party verification, Lily, that you're talking about is brilliant.
So remember that you are in power of these financial firms, right? These financial firms, whether it be Wells Fargo, Bank of America, or any other firm that you work with, they work for you and they're there to protect you. You do not have to opt in to receive text messages from them. You don't have to do that. Okay, if you want them to call you, if there is some type of verification that they have to have or need, then you know for a fact, I've never given them permission to text me. And that's an easy way to organize things.
I think there's also a way, when you get an email that sounds suspicious from your bank, always check the address that it comes, because sometimes it'll have a crazy person's name or 20 people, and you know that didn't come from Bank of America or from Wells Fargo. So as Lily said, stop, take a breath. I personally have a friend who a couple of months ago, a very smart woman, got a text from Apple, supposedly, that her information was being used at an Apple store in California, and this person lives in Florida, that her financial information was being used to purchase something. So she got all nervous, and instead of stopping and taking a breath and checking with Apple to see, or with her credit card to see if a charge had been made or anything, she texted these people back or called them. Then they sent her an email and she clicked on the link. Long story short, she got into conversation with them, got nervous enough because of their hype that she went to her bank, withdrew $17,000. They directed her to walk over to a crypto machine, and she turned it into cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. Then they told her to take that Bitcoin and go somewhere else and turn it into gift cards. The whole time she's thinking this is normal because she was scared. And then she sent the gift cards to wherever they were, and that's it. She's out that money. It's just horrific, and it's so sad. So everyone, please speak to someone, your financial advisor, The Foundation for Senior Services gives them a call, a friend, a family member. Do not just immediately get so nervous from fear or being so vulnerable that they win the game. So, Tanner, how do they find people? You were talking about social media and your digital DNA. Can you explain what that means? You said something about the 3-second rule. Yeah. So, talk about that a little bit.
Sure, yeah. So, I mean, again, where are they getting this? Oftentimes, they can get this information from social media. Many times, social media shows, why who you're connected to, and can often explain that relationship. But there's also other places, other kind of digital breadcrumbs that scammers can follow. And again, they don't even have to manually click through things. They can use different scraping bots that can go get all this information for them in a matter of seconds. But there's what are called kind of like public domain profiles. These are basically like directories or repositories of information, often collected from public records of things of that nature that exist. And again, created for legitimate purposes, whether it's like skip tracing or things to help people track down fraudulent or nefarious people, right? But they can be used to find information on you as well. So some of these websites that are more popular, and if you've ever like tried to maybe search someone for whatever reason, you may have found some of these websites pop up in the search results. But the top 5 kind of people search databases are Spokeo, Intellius, a website called benverified.com, Instant Checkmate, and then also Truth Finder.
Truth Finder. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, but those aren't the only ones. And honestly, Bonnie, by the time you edit this video, there could be some other ones that circulate into the top 5 by then, right?
Exactly.
But here's the thing. You may not have control over everything, but many of these things you can go in and you can opt out of. One that I was surprised that didn't make the list is one that's called familytreenow.com. Again, kind of started by the genealogy people trying to help you connect in kind of a free format to find who you might be connected to. But if you go search your name and your city, you'd be kind of surprised the amount of information that's on there, including the people that they think are either direct or less direct associates for yourself. But on those sites, some of them you can go and you can select to kind of opt out and to have your information hidden. So I think that's one advisable way you can clean up those digital breadcrumbs. Try to go to those 5 sites or even others, or even just Google your name. Google your name, your city, and your age and see what sites come up. And they might have part of your phone number showing. They might show your street address. And then see if you can contact those different websites and say, hey, I want this information to be removed.
Wow. I didn't even know all of that, Tanner. See, I'm learning something. I love it. Tanner, I have to ask you, you have mentioned one of the smartest tips that I've heard, which is about establishing a family code word so that if a loved one does call in a panic, aside from some of the brilliant ideas that Lily gave us, you could ask for a secret code word. Walk us through how that works. And also, Lily, you recommend doing something like that with financial records? And if you do, how specifically does that work so that a family can do that today?
Yes, that code word is part of my process. I highly recommend it for everyone to reach out to their financial firms, banks, financial advisors, whatever it is, even CPAs, state attorneys, and document a secret word that is impactful to you, that is easy to remember, and that your loved ones and immediate family members know as well. And that is added into the system. And before any money is distributed to somebody that sounds like you, right? Somebody could call me and say, oh, hi, Bonnie, how are you? And then they may sound like you, Bonnie, and I just spoke to you last week. But they don't know what word you and I had selected 2 years ago, right? So that, again, preparing, kind of preemptively thinking about these kind of things and making sure things are set in place to contain, if somebody is able to obtain your private information, first thing to do is to contain it. Make sure if everything is frozen, contact your financial firm and say, hey, I didn't do anything. Please put an extra alert on my account before any money is released.
Awesome. Tanner, give us more.
There's also a bit of prevention you can do using similar things, or even if it's reactively, like Lily was saying. We often think, what assets do I have that could possibly be taken away from me, and closing the gate on those. But there's also one of the main ways that your identity information is used is for fraudulent borrowing. So you also want to make sure that you contact the credit bureaus, that you put a block there. Ideally, that's something you do preemptively because you probably aren't applying for things every single day. And it might even be a good idea for some of us that are tempted to get that Kohl's or department store card at the checkout line to get a little extra percentage and keep us from having more credit cards that are open, because it takes the extra step to call the credit bureaus to lift that to apply, right? So there could be other benefits, but you also want to be just not thinking about where you have money, but how do you block down the credit side so that you don't end up, tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt because someone taken out student loans or auto loans or personal loans in your name. Something I didn't mention earlier is I had some experience for about 10 years working in banking on the retail side, which often involved being a branch manager or a district supervisor and having to get calls from tellers or bankers trying to stop seniors from going ahead and wiring money or taking out money for these things. But I remember even then there was a passcode option that could have been used even for a cash withdrawal at a teller window at the particular bank that I was at. So I don't know if every bank has that option, but just like Lilia said, I think it's about reaching out, know what options can exist to bolster those walls, keep the moat up, so to speak, of your information. This might change the topic a little bit, but I'm probably close to, prime of career life, and I'm a pretty tech savvy individual. I think we're all having our near fraud confessions here. But when our organization, Living Home Care, was changing buildings, we had to switch the utilities over to or sign up with SoCal Edison for electricity at the new office. The very same day that I had submitted that request online, I got a call from someone who said they were with Southern California Edison. I needed to get some large deposit over to them. Otherwise, power was going to be shut off in the next 24 hours. And at first it was somewhat cordial, but then they were really essentially bullying me and getting more and more aggressive. I started to get a little suspicious. And then when they told me I had to go over to Walmart to do the send money feature over there, that's where I knew Southern California Edison wasn't working that way. But I'll tell you, for maybe 4 or 5 minutes of this conversation, because of the situationally specific timing, just as I enroll, I'm getting a call pertaining to my enrollment. That just goes to show the kind of information that can be scraped and then that can be out there to be able to help make those things more convincing. So yeah, to your point, I think that the passcodes is important. And then not to scare everyone, but they do have a lot of your information already. We all hear about data leaks from large companies, payment processors, credit bureaus even. At this point, your social security number isn't likely something that they need. It's probably something like the 3 digits on the back of your card, or, not to be too scared, it might even just be your voice. So for you trying to, early on, if this is anything that's concerning to you, to even hang up the phone and speak very little, again, that's the less that they're able to record to then use their own voice to even impersonate you if they're going to be calling to try to take out loans or call your own financial institution. So I think what Lily said earlier is remembering you're in power. She was saying that with regards to your preferences in the financial institutions. But whenever these calls are coming in, I think it's just important for us to, have a healthy sense of self-assurance and courage and know that you have all the information and that anybody calling, maybe just have a somewhat, I want everybody to live in deep skepticism, but just a little bit of a sense of, why is anybody calling to get anything out of me? The kind of way that we feel when we feel like it's a sales call coming up and we're immediately going like, do I just hang up, or do I listen like a little bit here just to be polite, but they're trying to get something out of me? For us to kind of have that, even if you get a call from the Social Security Administration, supposedly, or the IRS, and just know that it could be true. These organizations might be calling you, but just like you said, Bonnie, it's making sure that you call them back and you can easily get their information, off of their websites or off of letters that you have. So sticking to those bits of information is key, because those inbound calls can also involve what's called spoofing, where your caller ID might say I.R.S. or meta-care period or something like that. Which makes it look like it's coming from that organization.
Haven't I also heard that if a scammer calls you, you don't say yes? Isn't there something about that if you say yes, they can do something? Lily, have you heard of this? What?
Yeah.
What do they do with that?
Yes. Yes. Goodbye are the old-fashioned ways of saying hello to somebody. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Bonnie? And say yes, right?
Yes.
So don't say yes. Say, what do you need? How's it going? Is it raining? I mean, something different, because they will record that voice of saying yes. They will demonstrate that to the bank and saying, here's the proof that she authorized the transfer of money, and they have your voice and you saying yes.
Wow.
So 3 seconds to record your voice. I mean, it's unfortunately that is very scary. The want to double check and just make sure that we educate people. Freezing your credit with the credit agencies is absolutely free. Okay. So there are ways that you can do it by creating your username, password, doing all those questions, creating an account, and it is free. Our government made sure that they were not allowed to charge that. You have to be very careful. If you need help with that, we're always here to help. The other thing is the United States Postal Service has done is added a service called informed delivery. Okay. So that is with the United States Postal Service, where they will email you a digital copy of the items that the postman is going to deliver to your home. And if you don't get it in a day or two, then it was intercepted. So, for example, and the reason I'm talking about this is, let's say that you finally got your trust done. Okay. Your living trust is done and it has to be funded, right? And not to go to another conversation, but now the county knows that you have changed your trust title of your home, you will immediately get mail asking you for things to pay for your title trust or do things like that, because that is public record. So you know that that document is going to get mailed to you ahead of time, and you have time to look to see if it's legit. What they'll do is let's say that they got a loan on your home, for example. They know that that letter of confirmation is going to be mailed to you. They will intercept it. They will have somebody there standing right next to the mailman or steal the mail, knowing that it's going to be coming. So now you don't even know that they took a loan out of your home.
Oh my goodness.
Just while we're going down something besides your granddaughter is stuck with a flat tire across the border type of schemes. I mean, because it's public record, you're also going to get all sorts of fraudulent looking stuff that is trying to sell you on things, whether it's title, protection to make sure something doesn't get changed in terms of the title, as if you didn't have title insurance when you purchased or refinanced your home. And it's going to come with like the tear off the 3 sides preparation or other stuff that's stamped to really look like it's coming from some kind of legal or government institution. So reading all the details, and whenever they're asking for something and money, again, immediately we should think, let me pause, and then who can I talk to? I think this is another big part where Lily and I enjoy being part of something like the foundation, and even just in industries and professions, is we want to be advisors to individuals. So we could even be, over the course of building a business relationship, someone could call and say, hey, I got this, Lily. It looks like it has something to do with like title. Like, is this part of what you had me do with my estate planning attorney and changing things? And they can email a picture to her, and she could give insights in addition to family members. So sometimes just knowing that you have more relationships often than you think that can help verify things. We get in trouble when we try to go just respond and think all in our own head, and we don't reach out for confirmation or questions from other people.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Tanner. I was actually at a bank the other day and mentioned that we were going to be doing this recording on scams and fraud. And my banker said, oh, let me give you this. And it was something that they give to their customers, which is tips for spotting a scam. And they said one scam is they pretend to be someone you know. One is they present you with a conditional prize or problem. They pressure you to act immediately, and they ask you to pay in a specific manner. Those are all red light. Stop, think, and reach out to somebody that you can trust. And it says actions to help protect yourself. And I will actually put this in the description and the show notes of this podcast. But they have block, resist, refuse, pause, validate, and talk. And there's explanations of what each of those means. So that's some of the action steps that need to be taken. You don't just respond, click, or give away all of your information. What is the biggest takeaway that you would like people to get from anything that we discussed today, or something that we haven't discussed? What's a message or of hope or empowerment you want to leave our seniors with? Or what's the biggest thing that you heard today that you want to stamp in their heads to do or to not do? Lily, we'll start with you this time.
Thank you. I would strongly suggest having a strong relationship with the firm, company, person that is guarding your assets. So if you have a retirement account, if you have a pension, contact your pension. Get familiar with the real website address. Get familiar with the phone number. Have it handy and written down somewhere in case you're in a panic and you need to verify something. Have those phone numbers handy and ready. Establish a relationship with the manager. Check in once a quarter maybe, and just continue to have that open conversation. You're not alone. You don't need to be alone. And it could be anyone that you can trust.
And I think along with that, when you're saying you don't need to be alone, I think some seniors feel shame when they're going through the process of the scam, such as my friend. And afterwards, you don't want to tell anybody that you got scammed. So before I go to you, Tanner, about the main thing you want people to take away, if a senior realizes that they have been scammed and money is gone, is there anything? Is there any repercussion? Is there anything that they can do, or anyone to reach out to? Or is it just like, oh, well, no, I'll learn no better next time? Tanner?
Well, I mean, certainly, I think, like Lily mentioned, you want to be reaching out to your financial institutions, not necessarily, whether it's to put a block on things. Is there any way to claw back or undone what's done? Well, again, the reason they have you jumping around and using Bitcoin in these things is to really close off that door. But you do want to make that known. It might leave you disappointed, but I think the general advisable protocol is to also even contact law enforcement and file a police report. Don't get your hopes up that means they're going to go find that individual, because that's likely what it's going to help them do is be able to track and know about trends that are happening to others. So, but in a sense, you're really loving your neighbor by reaching out, sharing that information so that they can try to get out more community education. If there's particular, again, institutions that are starting to become the mimicked thing of scam more and more, then they can get out communication to their constituents. They can get on the news channels and release, articles online to help get out the word. Hey, if you're getting messages like this, it's not from us. But it is still advisable to go ahead and reach out to law enforcement and file that police report, even though they're not going to be getting on a plane and traveling across the world to figure out who and what country the funds have gone to. I think ensuring that you do have wise counselors and you have community around you is one of the most important things as well. We've spoken to some degree about where that can be like institutional or professional help. But one proverb that I'm always challenged by is one that says, plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. And again, if we get used to living a more isolated life because of health, because of just changes, the expenses of living in the city have caused our family members to move away, ensuring you have social and meaningful relationships is so important. And not just for fraud, even just for our own flourishing as people. Because even the most introverted one of us are social creatures. We are as people. And so ensuring that you reach out to ask, like I said, or even knowing who is in your life and that might be able to see you scrambling to put these things together is, I think, one important security measure to keep in mind as well. And you mentioned the shame part of it, Bonnie, right? Like not even wanting to share what happened. Well, even if you almost got caught or you're in the midst of something where fear, greed, or trust, those are the three emotional buttons that fraudsters are trying to hit on. Even if you're embarrassed because maybe you stopped it, but you don't want people to know. Just think about, we're talking about this now. I just shared about the Southern California Edison story. These things actually become good table talk conversations, right? Would you believe the scam that I had? And you're not the only person being targeted. All of us are being targeted. people of different demographics and generations are being targeted. And the more that we can become comfortable even just making table talk, whether it's about where we got fooled or we almost got fooled, one, it helps one another. And trust me, the person on the other side of the table is able to empathize, and they probably have some stories to all make your jaws drop. And I guess in solidarity, just be learning so that we can have more safety and more awareness going forward.
It's so true what you said. Please share. If you suspect anything, if anything has happened to you, do not be shamed. We're all human. And reach out to your family and your friends. You're only helping yourselves and others. And speaking about loneliness and isolation, I'd like to bring in Joyce Robertson, who again is CEO of the foundation and who is bringing us this podcast in your prime time. And Joyce, would you like to first of all share anything about what you have just heard for the last 45 minutes?
Oh my goodness, there's so many times I wanted to jump in, and I don't want to forget about one particular topic as I'm listening to Lily and Tanner share all this information. I had a couple listeners call to say, please bring up Medicare fraud. I'm scared. I just signed up for Medicare. I'm getting phone calls. I'm getting letters. I don't know if they're real. They're going to get my health care information. Help me with that. Who do I talk to? One thing I'll comment about, Tanner, you referred to it, about all the resources that we want to have around all of us. And thank goodness the foundation has Medicare specialists, for example, and specialists like Lily and Tanner that can be there for us. But can either of you share anything as a takeaway with regard to Medicare and not being afraid that your health information will be captured, or somebody's trying to steal their plan or get you to replace your plan?
Have a real life experience with my client. She got emails and notifications on free Medicare benefits, free groceries, things like that. Those are the ones that you want to avoid, anything where they're offering you free things, if only you give them the Medicare number. That's all. Just give them the Medicare number. That's one way that they can target your medical benefits. So that Medicare number, treat it as if it was your Social Security number. Only keep it to yourself.
Yeah, often it's more the greed aspect that's plugged into that. I know, Joyce, your example is kind of more the overwhelm, maybe leaning on the fear side. But whenever it's free durable medical equipment, whenever that's the kind of angle that's being brought at, again, they're trying to tap into the greed aspect of it and just kind of being aware. So then what do you listen for? Let's say that, there is a trusted advisor, but part of how they're trying to connect with people who might need their services is by, say, cold calling, right? The message is going to be less, don't miss out, act now, urgency. It's going to be, hey, it's that time of year for open enrollment. What I do is I help people have a consultative conversation to figure out what's best for you, because what's best for you might not be good for everyone else. That's more the approach of a professional that's wanting to actually know who you are, figure out what your needs are. And that, again, that's kind of what to look for, rather than if the clock is ticking, you need to act, or opportunity that will never come your way again is going to evaporate into thin air. So I think that's just kind of to help like those lanes to sort of listen for. And then again, I think as much as we have all sorts of online, we have the Yelps, we have the Angie's List, we have these things to find professionals, and many of those are fine. Sometimes it's just always good to work with people you trust have trusted them. And Medicare is a big enough thing. There's enough things that are changing year after year where you want someone who is knowledgeable about all those changes and can work with you. So if you already know someone who's working with, say, like a Medicare consultant, maybe you want to go ahead and talk to them. Or take this offer, take this letter in the mail, take the information from that phone call your friend who's your Medicare consultant. Okay, I want to ask them if this is something that's fraudulent or not. That's another example of where your professional network can go ahead and be part of what keeps you out of trouble.
Great information. Let me share one quick success story that we just got recently, because when we talk about do you have to pay out the money, one of our technical support specialists was able to work with somebody that was trying to pull all of their family pictures together for a legacy memoir. They were called by, quote, Microsoft. And guess what? It wasn't Microsoft at all. And they told them that they were going to lock out their account, freeze all those pictures, never let them get to them again unless they paid $5,000. Well, the good news was they didn't have to pay that $5,000 because they were assured by a trusted advisor that don't say no, hang up, and then they were able to look inside the computer, solve the problem, get the reload done for their computer, and they didn't have to fear losing what was backed up and was able to still be retrieved.
Right. Don't give these people your money, guys. Okay? Remember that.
You don't have to do
Just
it.
hang on to
You
it.
can call somebody, and you really don't have to do it. You don't need that fear factor to take over.
Right. So, Joyce, now explain a little bit of how the foundation can turn some of our loneliness into companionship with one of your programs.
I think you're seeing today all three of you who have been a part of the foundation for so long and bring so much valued expertise to all of you. And the foundation is always here to direct you to a particular resource that can help, as well as many other wonderful organizations out there. But thank you all today, Lily and Tanner. You've just shared so many. I learn every time I listen to all of our wonderful specialists. And we have about 300 of you, thankfully, from Orange County to Los Angeles to Ventura. And thankfully, we're growing and having people listen to us even outside of California, which is really exciting. So thank you all. And our foundation would not be what it is without the feet on the ground.
Well, thank you, Joyce. And thank you for bringing us Senior Prime Time. And Tanner, Lily, do you have any last thoughts, or do you feel that you've gotten everything out that you want to share and warn people or empower them with before our sign off?
I think, again, whether this is encouraging or discouraging, and just to keep in mind, I know some of you guys may have looked at my last slides here, but just pop quiz. Bonnie, will go with you. In the United States alone, annualized, what's the typical amount of fraud just to seniors that's committed every year in recent years?
Oh, I don't know in numbers. A lot. Tons.
Joyce, you have a guess?
Tons.
No, I don't.
Yeah, well, it's over $2 billion, which is GDP of the GDP of some small island nations that typically are just driven by tourists going to their beaches. That's a significant amount of money.
Yeah.
So all to say is, for those that are overly confident, beware, because fraudsters also like overly confident people. For those that are perhaps more scared and wondering you're going to throw your phone in the garbage can, you're never going to talk to anyone ever again. Again, just know that all sorts of people are experiencing this. And so it's good to not just huddle into the turtle shell, but to be connecting to resources like this. And not like you have to be in urgent panic. Adopt a lifestyle of curiosity, a lifestyle that wants to learn and to bring things in. The whole knowledge is power axiom, right? So I think just knowing that you can take a breath, these things are going to come your way. But if you can remember never to act in a state of urgency, which Lily had told us, earlier on, to always make sure you step away, take a breath, we do the verification things, you really can go ahead and be in significantly safe hands.
Lily, any last words?
I do. I apologize, but I am a problem solver person. So don't forget, lock your credit with each agency. Set up informed delivery with the United States Postal Service. Don't use checks if you can avoid it, because that has your checking account number and your routing number. So avoid checks if you can. And just make sure that you do a dry run. What would you do? And make sure you assign at least 2 people that you can trust and that they can be reached, right? That's important. So if in emergency, who can you call and that they will answer the phone? So please do those things.
If I could add just a couple more things, Bonnie, because we had a very practical finish and reminders there from Lily. I understand you can also add family members to have view-only access to, say, a bank accounts and financial services. So maybe for different reasons. I understand there's often reasons you don't want to just add people as account holder into your account. But even if it's not moving them on to be a power of attorney or a successor trustee, just having someone that can view in and check to make sure there isn't suspicious activity going out of your account is another layer of eyes that can be helpful. So I think that's advisable.
Just wanted to say, and if you have been a victim, don't be afraid to let us know about it. We will try to see what we can do to get the right people to know about that. And like Tanner, I think you said it earlier, we can learn from that and report that to the appropriate officials and see what can be done. So don't be afraid. If you've been a victim, share it. It will help somebody else.
Right. No shame. Joyce, Tanner, Lily, wow. Thank you both so much. This has been awesome. Your combined expertise has given us so much valuable insight into protecting ourselves against scams. To our listeners, remember what you have heard here today and learned. Slow down, verify everything, and don't let these scammers force you into a state of high emotion. Let's save our retirement funds for our enjoyment, so we'll stay out of trouble. Don't give them the power. Now, remember, you can leave a comment below because we would love for you to share your own experiences, if you have any, or if you've heard of any with scams and fraud, so that we can help each other stay out of trouble. Tanner, Lily, for the listeners to reach you, I'm going to have all of your information in the description below, so you don't have to rattle it off right here, and the Foundation for Senior Services information as well. So we thank everyone, and I just wish everybody a safe, healthy, and scam-free rest of the year.
Stay safe and be a savvy senior.
Reach out to us if you need us.
Yeah, and stay curious. You know, the world is changing, and there's not always a scary thing. That can be an exciting thing. And the more that you can learn and take things in community, like Lily said, I think not just from a fraud standpoint, but there's so much more richness you get to enjoy in your life.
And again, thank you so much. And everybody, we'll see you on the next Senior Prime Time. Thank you so much for listening and for being part of the conversation. We're truly grateful that you've spent your time with us, and we hope that today's discussion was meaningful to you. We'd also like to thank Tanner Gish and Lily Schweitzer for sharing their knowledge and perspective on such an important topic. And if you'd like to learn more about senior home care services or wealth management and longevity planning, feel free to connect with Tanner and Lily. Their contact information is in the description below. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and follow so that we can stay connected, because we have more inspiring conversations coming your way that you will not want to miss. And if you are interested in becoming a sponsor to Senior Prime Time, it's a meaningful way to support this podcast and the foundation while connecting with a growing audience. We would love to hear from you. Catch you in the next one on Senior Prime Time. Real people, real conversation.